There are lots of parts in the Jetta that were not in their last episode. This episode had some audio issues, so I'm gonna do my best to match it up from different cameras. And where I can't match the audio, there will be awesome music playing. Enjoy the video. Stars and Pipes is proud to partner with Wyotech on this build. I've always been a car guy, it's in my DNA. I attended Wyotech for collision refinishing, street rod, custom paint, and trim and upholstery. Now, in our How to Build a Figure 8 Car series, I get to put those skills to use. Wyotech is America's destination trade school. They offer hands-on training in automotive, diesel, collision refinishing, welding, plus specialties like high-performance powertrains, street rod, and chassis fabrication. Wyotech's vision is to have the best training, best experience, and best outcome for the next generation of tradesmen and women. If you're ready to turn your passion for cars into a career, check out Wyotech. Visit them at wyotech.edu, see which program is best for you, and tell them that we sent it. Now let's get into the video. So while Bryce gets some tubing cut to make the seat mounts, I am going to start cutting out any wires that we don't need. Everything has been unhooked and it still starts, so now I know that I can just cut them. So I'm gonna get as close as I can, cut off anything that I can remove. Start with this sunroof. Sunroof wire harness. Here's the wire harness that goes down the driver's side all the way to the trunk. I'm gonna leave any grounds just because I don't know what the ground goes to and I don't want to chase ground. I'll leave these grounds, I'll cut everything else. Driver's side wiring harness is out. Next up is the head unit. Now this guy here running down the middle is for the HVAC, so I'm just gonna cut it out too. This one in the middle, I'm going to leave the shift position sensor or neutral safety switch, whichever it is. But I'm going to cut this one that went to the antennas. Passenger side one, there is one that goes to the fuel tank, probably just fuel gauge. But I got to try to leave it to get this little bracket thing off, the wires out of it. Strip it out like this, cut some of these little ties. I'm gonna cut this seat one right here and trace this ground back. There's that ground. That ain't here. That one's for the seat. That one there. These ones are also for the seat. I don't know what this is, so I'm gonna leave it for now. This ground is for the back door. That's what this harness is for. Separate this mess. These ones go to the back door. Cut these off here just so they're out of my way. These ones went to the trunk. That's this whole harness. I can untwist these. This ground goes back to the fuel, so I'll hook it back up. Now I can put these all back nice under our seat. Next we have driver's door, glove box, light. This one here was passenger airbag.
we're going to be putting in some fuel race seats. Bryce is welding some tabs on square tubing. That will be our base. We will mount the square tubing on the floor, and then we can bolt the angle iron to the bottom of the seat so we still have our forward and back adjustment. Here's our first bracket done. You can see we got the angle iron welded on the square tubing, 2 bolts for the seat, and we'll bolt right to the bottom like this with our grooves in the seat so we can slide it forward and back and still have our adjustment. The level spot in the floor of our Jetta is 9 inches apart, so we will measure these 9 inches, bolt them up tight, and then stick it in to weld the tubing to the floor. We got it bolted up at 9 inches. The mounts are slid all the way forward, so our seat will fit as far back as possible for our test fit. Since we can mount these anywhere, we're going to kind of do it by feel. We're going to center it on the steering wheel. Again, the seat is as far back as we can go, so we have our adjustment forward. We're going to repeat that process again to put in a passenger seat. The second bracket is done. We'll get it bolted to this seat, then we can install it on the passenger side. Once again, we will check our distances, make sure we're at 9 inches so that we have our forward and back adjustments. This one we're going to adjust forward so that we can move the seat back if we need to. We don't need the leg room on the passenger side.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to trim it, chop it off. Take this one out. I'm planning on sticking into there and then it's one right?
With the 2 front seats in, now we can start on the roll cage. So we're going to mark out our angles and our bends on the passenger side, and then we will copy it over to the driver's side.
What was our first measurement?
128.
180 minus 128. So, in theory, we should have to bend it to the Alright, we got this passenger side of the roll cage all bent. We're going to do a test fit and make sure everything moves good. Coming in for you. Let's go through here, brother.
Yeah.
We forgot to trim off the overall length, so we trimmed the overall length down, and then after some prying, pushing, hammering, and a little help from the porta power, we finally got it lined up. So since we stuck it through that pocket in the back window, we're going to weld a plate over the pocket just to add some extra strength. It's welded in the trunk, and it's also welded to this plate. Again, with the help of the porta power, we got the front of the cage pushed over as tight as we could, and then we will weld it to the floor and add a plate later. So we have to do the driver's side a little bit different. You can see the passenger side goes past the dash and goes all the way to the floor. That dash bar right there is aluminum. So on the driver's side, we're going to build a bracket that can bolt onto the top right here. It'll go on these bolts. We can put the nut back on, and then we can build that out of steel. That way we can weld to the steel bracket and then bolt it tight against the dash.
Perfect.
With the passenger side finished, we're going to go ahead and bend the driver's side to match.
Yep. Okay. Got the front of this bar welded. We're going to spread it with the porta power so that we can get our measurement for our crossbars here.
We made our bracket out of some angle iron, drilled the hole in the drill press to fit over the bolt. Slides right through, so all we got to do is put a nut on there, and then we'll have a piece of steel to weld to. With our front welded, we can go ahead and plate the back pocket like we did on the passenger side. We got our measurements for that dash bar, so we're going to go ahead, stick the tubing in the jig. We got a hole saw jig to cut saddles. So we will get this drilled out, saddled to the correct length, and get it welded in the front dash bar. With our dash bar saddled and cut to length, we're going to stick it in, make sure it's level, and then get her welded up. We want the whole cage to be pre-stressed out, so we jacked up the bar at the B-pillar with the porta power, and then we can stick the bar in and everything will settle tight. Before we weld in our center post, we're going to weld it to a plate. That way after we put it in, let the porta power out, all we have to do is weld the plate to the floor. We went ahead and did the same on the passenger side. Now we're going to put this bar in right behind the seat. This bar we're going to put in level, and then that is where our 5-point harnesses are going to bolt. We have our lower bar behind the seat. Now we're going to go ahead and put a halo bar up above our heads. Since we are going to have passengers, we're going to go ahead and weld a T-handle to the cage here so that passengers can hold on. With the first seat out, we were able to make a template for this. We're going to weld it to the back, and then the other one's going to sit right on the hump from the factory seat.
The square through. This one's really soft. close, but
Oh yeah.
all right.
Yeah, that's perfect.
As I said in the past episode, the instrument cluster is part of the security system, so we have to keep the factory instrument cluster. So on our roll cage here, I just drilled 2 holes and I'm going to put some self-tapping screws through the instrument cluster into the roll bar.
With the back seats all mounted up, we can weld it down. With the back seats welded into place, we're going to weld some bolts on the top of the roll cage to be able to bolt our harnesses to.
Okay, we got our harnesses ran through the seats and we are bolting them to the roll cage. We're back for another parts unboxing. Got some parts in the mail today. Let's see what we got. Hose clamp. Our race pipe to delete the EGR. And bolts, gaskets, and blanks for the intake. So, now we can get that EGR deleted. Some of you might be wondering why there are 4 seats in this race car. We're going to have this race car at the Figure 8 race in Thermopolis as a Stars and Pipes promo car. You want to ride in a real race car, come down before the show, and we will take you for a ride. 3 passengers can ride. Come on down, ride in a real race car. I got the car back home after putting in the seats. One more important thing that we need to do is add our tube. I need to be hooked to Wi-Fi to be able to do this, so I wanted to make sure I had good Wi-Fi connection. So I'm going to screw my cable into the programmer itself. Plug this in into the ODB2. We got all kinds of lights going on. Now with this programmer, you control it with your phone. So we'll go here into the app. We are pairing, let it update. While this updates, this is an Alien Tech Powergate 4 is the tuner that we got.
All right, there we go. The program took. We can go into the history and see that it is successful.
We got another package in the mail today. See what we got. Here we are. There's our harnesses for our back two seats. So we'll go ahead and get them installed. Okay, we got our bottom brackets on the front harness in. We just use the brackets from the factory seat belt. We got our back harnesses in. They are bolted again to the factory seat belt. I'm gonna get the roll cage painted up here before we bolt the top in, and then that'll be harnesses done. For the driver's seat, we got the mounts for the car seats that used to be in the back window here. I'm gonna drill this hole out a little bit bigger so that the bigger bolts fit, and we will get them mounted on the front. Golden. One more side, we're done. I'm sure you noticed that the last video of installing the harnesses, the car was painted. That will be in a separate episode. We threw a quick and dirty temporary paint job on it just for the figure 8 race in Thermop. We need to get that thing ready to give people rides, so keep an eye out. We'll be posting the ride along videos as well as videos from the race. So thanks for watching episode 6, and we will see you next time. Count us down. Get down from 3.